Hello and welcome to another scene for the Living World of Darkness, Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition venue. Today's scene is between Misha and Charles, who are currently en route via airplane to Biwabik, Minnesota. The stewardess makes her way down the aisle. Coffee? Soda? Snacks?
Misha's looking around like her eyes are really big. She's never been on a plane before. And she's kind of looks at the stewardess. Coffee.
And she nods and she hands the tiny styrofoam cup of coffee to Misha, and she looks over at Charles. And for you, sir?
And like a voice that was almost like molasses, almost, that just embraces you warmly, he just says, "Coffee would be lovely."
She pauses for a moment, thinks back to her youth and summers and strawberry wine in the fields, and also the heartbreak that goes with them as she hands Charles a cup of coffee, wipes away a tear that she doesn't understand why it was forming, and moves down the aisle.
Perfect.
And she will return to staring around her, kind of like trying not to imagine what it would be like for a seal to fall from an airplane.
Charles is currently reading a Japanese English dictionary and is like blazing through it.
If Misha catches this, and I imagine she would, she's just going to look at him and say, "Fuck you" in Japanese.
Nice of you to say, he says. Not completely perfectly, but it's surprisingly how quick he responded.
Whatever. Still in Japanese. If he's gonna speak, if we're gonna do this, she's gonna talk in Japanese. Screw this.
Guess what I'm buying next month?
Well, that'll make 3 of us in this venue. Thank you. She doesn't say. I mean, she's just kind of looking at it, and she's just going to be like, "Why?" Like she's still talking in Japanese, just because she's kind of testing you, because that's what she does.
He thinks for a moment. And he doesn't say it completely correct, but then he stops for a moment and like thinks, and then he adjusts it, and it's more perfect that time. Like he's showing he's grabbing it really quick. He's seeing his mistakes, he realizes it and fixes it. But eventually it just comes out as why am I reading, or why something else?
Why Japanese?
Alice expressed interest in teaching me, but I figured I'd surprise her.
Oh. So I can blame Alice.
I was gonna probably get around to it eventually anyway.
She shrugs. It's not like I own the language.
No, language shapes the people.
Only when used the right way.
Oh, they can shape people even when used what others would consider to be incorrectly. That's the thing about language. It's not good or evil, but it builds and destroys.
That's
and
funny.
Eventually,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Sometimes when it's time for it to go, it dies. but new languages are birthed out of its desiccated corpse, and new societies grow with it.
Or you could look at it a little less surgically, a little less sterilely, and realize that a language is culture. What you're looking at is something to shape people. Alice and I see as our lives.
Just sort of smiles. The fact that you don't think I understand that means you just stops there. No, not today.
Yeah, sorry.
I got the official report.
Okay. She'll shift back to English because she's pretty sure you probably wouldn't be able to say all of that kind of crap in Japanese.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet, anyway. Although he's remarkably fast for having started since they started this plane flight. Anyway. But he puts the book down. And he pulls, he reaches down into like his suitcase that he has underneath there, and he pulls it out and like puts it between them so they can both read it. The report with the animatronic dragon is being used for the greater amount of the government ups for what happened. Basically, it says she got caught here in the explosion and shrapnel.
I wonder how they're covering up for the lack of animatronic dragon.
Well, I'm sure someone found something from a slag pile and managed to make it look useful.
I'll just let them handle it.
Regardless, that's the unfortunate story we're going to be telling the parents. It was an unfortunate accident.
When she left to go to work. Because we were at a friend's wedding.
Fortunately, a number of the wedding guests also got caught up in it, from what I understand.
Kind of sucks we can't even find the bride and groom.
Well, as is they believe the tradition of weddings, eventually you have to go out on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
What a time for that.
I mean, he's a baron, though. As she lowers her voice a lot.
He nods.
Sometimes, maybe, when you have an important position, you might have to put off things like that when half the people in your area are dead or hurt.
I already sent my message to him about what happened. He hasn't responded yet. But I'm sure he'll be well. But at that point, the ball's in his court.
I don't think he's a bad person. I just really question his judgment if he actually left.
He's young, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But he is young. And I'm certain he's quite terrified right now.
Maybe he should be. And I don't mean that as a threat.
No. He'd be stupid if he wasn't afraid.
Especially with what's happening in Brooklyn. Okay, I get it. We can basically keep the story the same as just that she went out and we realized that she had left and went looking for her, and that's what we found.
And unfortunately, we had just missed the. We managed to miss the carnage.
Right.
Just barely.
I'm just going to mention now because
Mhm.
something that you wouldn't necessarily something you wouldn't know, but he's a really observant kind of person.
At least,
And
especially now.
yeah, well,
Uh,
while you were reading that Japanese thing,
Mhm.
she hasn't opened it yet, but there is a book in her lap as well.
Mhm.
It's a book about Renaissance art.
Oh, that is something that would kind of slightly catch his interest.
Yeah, it's really like
Mhm.
that. It's not something you'd expect from her. That's why I
Mhm.
figured I would mention that tidbit.
Yeah. Mm.
She's not paying attention to that though. She's still in the conversation. I'm just going to
Yeah.
mention it now while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Make sure you pay attention to the cuss words in that book of yours. I use a lot of them.
That's how you get the basis for language. You learn the cuss words first.
Not really how it worked for me. And she kind of looks aside at when she says that. Kind of like she's thinking about something else.
He debates on pursuing it, but he decides he's going to pursue the angle he's a little more interested in, which happens to be the Renaissance book. Never pictured you to be interested in the golden years of the Italian Renaissance.
Why?
Oh no. Maybe the no, I think the steampunk aesthetic's a little more Maneva.
I make a lot of steampunk, actually. Did you not notice the jewelry that she wore?
Of course I did, but
Who
I
do you
didn't
think
want to assume.
Who do you think made it?
As I said, I didn't want to assume.
That watch that she broke to make you feel a little better. As she's like staring at you right now. And yes, there's a hint of anger.
I didn't make her break the watch.
Didn't say you did.
But you blame me for it anyway.
I blame you for not accepting your own human frailty.
I'm not human.
Oh, but you are. And she'll reach over and just like she's going to like touch his arm, sort of like pinch it just enough that to make the point that he's in a body. She's not like trying to really hurt him. It's just trying to make the point.
Yeah.
Enough to shock him a little bit.
I do, but I only have a half hour for lunch, and it's at noon. So, well, no, but I get off at like 4:30. So
He's doesn't move for a moment. Hold on.
Not awkward at all.
Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway. Pauses. He's frozen there for just a moment. Just smiles. Ah, yes. Perhaps I'm more human than I like to admit.
Probably. or you wouldn't have me here with you. You're going to need to find a way to accept that anyways, because I don't know anybody else who can do what she did for you.
One day. Maybe one day I'll be able to accept fate like she did. But I'm afraid I don't have that strength.
It's not about fate. It's about what you are now. You need to accept it. You made the choice to come back for whatever reason that you came back. And I'm not asking. I'm not asking that. I don't even care. You're here now. You're stuck with this.
Hold on. One moment.
So how are you, Carol?
I am phenomenal.
This is why these two should not do scenes. They jab at each other.
That is the best way to do scenes with Charles. If you think that his scenes with Maxine were all like sugar and fluff, you should watch them.
I mean, she's literally using knowledge given to her from Maxine just to try to hurt him.
Maxine is pretty mean to her friend. Just saying.
Oh, those scenes were not cherries. It was not strawberries and cream. Not a
I was
single
going to say, this is definitely not breaking the antithesis because she's telling the secrets for not for her own benefit to hurt him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Sorry. It's having a good 1 month. 1 month. I don't want to have to hear it anymore. Anyway. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, where were we? Sorry, I did.
One day you'll be able to accept you don't have that strength.
Oh yeah, it's like it's not about fate. It's something like those lines.
Yeah, it's not about a fate. It's about accepting who you are now. Oh, and the bit about you chose to come here for whatever reason. You're here now, and you're kind of yeah.
And how quickly our memories fade. Not that it matters. You're right. I am here, regardless of regardless of whether anyone wants me here or not.
Exactly. Unless you're willing to sell your soul to God knows who. Trust me, I certainly don't have that skill, or I might just be willing to buy your soul just so you don't have to age.
Oh no, my soul's mine. It's not going anywhere.
Do you use it?
Every day. But then again, the definition of the soul might be a little different than what you're thinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Please make sure your seatbelts are buckled and your tray tables are up. We are about to hit a patch of turbulence. Please do not panic. As the plane slowly starts to rumble.
Mm.
Yeah, that big-eyed look on Misha again as she's one hand gripping the book, the other one gripping like the armrest on the opposite of Charles.
Yep. Not going anywhere near him if possible.
No. It's bad enough I'm sitting next to you now.
Yep. Charles is just sitting there, and I mean, despite obviously the jostling and stuff, he's remaining like perfectly still as the jostling happens. And he's sort of this isn't too bad. We'll probably pass in like 10 minutes, maybe less.
And eventually the fastened seatbelt lights go off and the plane ride resumes its normal route. Yeah. Normal whatever.
All the normal.
So normal.
That is exactly what we are.
Perfectly normal human beings.
And the thought of a seal dropping from a plane.
Normal human standing.
So Douglas Adams, the idea of a seal falling from the sky.
I was totally thinking about that whale.
And then a marble statue falling next to it thinking, oh no, not again. No one knew why the statue thought this.
But it may have something to do with that bowl of tulips. Yeah. Yeah. She's. I mean, she's not actually scared. It's just like this is like a wholly new thing for her.
Mm.
So, I mean, she just kind of sits there tensely, just kind of waiting and watching everything, kind of staring out the window a little bit. I don't even know who's sitting next to the window. It doesn't really matter.
You can have it. I don't mind.
Fantastic. It didn't matter. And yeah, that would be enough to distract her from the conversation, I will say. So. And once it calms down a little bit, she's going to open her book and like turn her phone so it's away from him and text some people in the process, because I think you can still do that from planes at this point, can't you?
Depends if you can get the service. It depends.
Okay, well, if she can, she does. It's not like I'm sending anything specific. It's more just filling time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but either way, she will open her book and try to tune him out.
That's not hard. He doesn't actually, well, as she's back into reading, he's actually rather conscientious of other people reading and doesn't bother her. And goes back to the Japanese.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We could probably pass the rest of this just like this, unless there's some other reason why we would interrupt each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yes, eventually the plane touches down, lands in Minnesota. I don't know the name of the airport, so...
Minnesota
whatever.
Airport.
Yep. And taxis wait out front for those who did not consider renting a vehicle, or for some reason are people who cannot drive.
Which is
like
me.
New Yorkers.
That's me.
Same here. So yeah.
Yeah. So where there is no public transit, we must take a cab.
Yep, exactly. Charles is probably Charles is funding most of this endeavor anyway, so.
Well, she doesn't expect him to pay for her ticket. But I mean, if he offered, she wasn't going to say no.
Yeah, no. I mean, that was basically implied during their conversations. Like, do you want to come? Cool, here, I got it. And besides, there's a special deal if you deal for two. Anyway, but yeah, he hails the driver. 2 stops. We're gonna stop by Honk first. Probably be there for about 15 minutes, so just keep that meter running, and then he gives the other address.
The cab driver looks at the address and he's like, Biwabik? Because it is a little itty bitty town.
Mm.
He's just like, all right, it's your dime.
Mm.
She'll just look at the guy and just be like, trust me, you don't want him driving. And probably not me either.
He gives a nod and a shrug. He'll try and engage in small talk along the way. Things like, how about them bears? That kind of stuff.
You don't see many bears in New York.
Ah. Catch the Olympics? 3 of those boys on the curling team were from Minnesota.
Oh, were they?
Oh, God, not curling. Brought home the gold.
Oh.
I'm just trying to picture Misha caring about any of this.
Charles is being polite with the talk.
That's fine. You do that, and she's gonna just stare out the window because she's like basically never left New York.
Oddly enough, the inhuman monster is the one gauging small talk with the cab driver.
He does not have a whole lot of topics to discuss about Minnesota in general.
How about that Minnesota thing?
Yeah. Business or pleasure? What brings you to our neck of the woods?
Sadly, neither.
Ah, gotcha. Moving here then, eh? He laughs at his own terrible joke.
Yeah, Misha, at this point, Misha sinks into the seat, so she's less noticeable.
Yeah.
And she just stares out the window at all the open space, like not really understanding this idea of all the open space. Aside from out in the ocean, where there's a lot of open space, but that's it. She doesn't get this. This is so weird. I saw this in a movie once.
Aw.
Aw. What is forest? What is this?
I mean, she's been in parks, but that's about it.
Yep. Oh, man. Excuse me.
She's like the ultimate city slicker at this point.
Eventually, he will lead the way or pull into the small town of Biwabik. And pull up to the Honk the Moose Park.
Shouldn't take long. We'll be back. Charles gets out.
So does Misha. She's not sitting in the car with that dude who tries to talk to her. And she kind of wants to see this Honk the Moose because, well, it's something that's been mentioned to her.
It is a life-size fiberglass moose. It stands about moose height.
Because that's a specific height.
It is for this ST.
For moose height.
Yes.
The famous moose.
Yes. There's a plaque next to it that details the why Honk is a significant character to Biwabik. How this moose found itself sort of trapped in town one winter. And it is like the place to see in Biwabik, according to, the various tidbits of conversation from people passing by.
And it was beaten out by a national park. God damn it.
Misha just pulls
Trying to
her phone
appreciate
out.
nature rather than the artistic representation of it.
Of a moose.
She just pulls her phone out and take a picture of it. And then actually does kind of a selfie with herself next to it at moose height, evidently.
At moose height.
But yeah, she doesn't quite know what to do with it other than kind of like that. Like, it's a moose.
Charles gets right up to it and he stares at it for a long moment before he raises his hand out and he like puts it on the nose of Hunk. Hello, Hunk. I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd be seeing you again this soon. Christmas Eve, was it? Yeah. No, I'm afraid she's not going to be here. No, I'm afraid she's not going to be coming back again. I'm sorry. You've probably seen a lot of people who never came back again, haven't you? Show up once and then they leave out of your life forever. I wonder if you care whether or not they ever come back again. Used to feel the same way in some respects. I wonder if that's what sets us apart, Hunk. Well, you got plenty of others to walk after you. Many other people to take pictures. Many other people to tell secrets. And you hold them all. You hold them forever. Goodbye, Hunk. I don't know if we'll ever see each other again.
So you look at this fiberglass moose, a memory that isn't quite yours, sort of stirs up as memories do.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, well, not your hands carving into something, etching something into the moose hurriedly in the dark of night.
And he focuses on that memory, focuses hard, trying to draw it out, try to make sure it can, because it is not his memory, it's true, it's another memory, but he's trying to pull every last bit of it.
It's a series of coordinates, and you can see what the numbers are because that memory was left there by magical means. The memory ends with, again, not your hands and not your self standing up, but just dusting off and walking towards the car that's running and packed to the brim with boxes and laundry baskets with clothes stuffed in them.
She said goodbye to you before she left and gave you a secret. Thank you, Hunk. Thank you for sharing with me. Goodbye. And with that, he turns and walks off.
Misha was right there.
Yep. Yep.
So you just walk away from her without saying anything? Or to
Yep.
her?
Nope.
She's gonna follow. Like,
nope. He's going back to the car.
No, well, she would definitely follow then.
Yeah.
But she's gonna try to catch up to him for all that. She's probably shorter than him, but so she'll just kind of rush a little bit to catch up and be like, What was that?
Just saying goodbye to an old friend.
Did it talk back?
It did. There's something we're going to have to do after we tell them. One last place we need to go. One last secret Maxine left for us.
Does it involve a cliff? Because if it does, I'm not sure I'm a fan of that.
Well, we're going to have to find out. I honestly don't know where it is, but I know the numbers.
Numbers. Like a phone number?
He shakes his head. I'll tell you after we're done breaking the news.
Okay. She looks a little trepidatious. By the way, her phone is carefully put away by the time he...
Yeah. It's fine.
She recorded that whole thing.
Yeah. He's talking to a goddamn moose. What the fuck?
Pretty much.
Charles is weird.
This is my proof that you're nuts.
Cab driver turns down the radio once he come back, and
It's probably Mbop on there or something.
and drives you the most direct route to Maxine's childhood home, which turns out not to be the roundabout way Maxine initially took Charles. It takes about a minute and a half from
Honk.
From Honk, yes.
Charles is just like almost slightly disappointed he didn't have more time to brace himself before he got in front of the house.
Do you need help with your suitcases or anything?
Misha has like a backpack because we're only planning to be here like a day. There's like she's like 2 sets of clothing in her backpack. So she
Charles just has like the one suitcase. That's it. It's like, no, thank you very much. He says, and he gives him a very sizable tip.
Well, thank you. Here's my card if you need somebody to drive all the way out here and take you back.
Hopefully you'll be around in the next few hours.
Maybe. We'll see how the day goes. Hopefully, I've got another couple of people needing a ride. Anyways, have a good day. He'll pull away, wave out the cab window because he is ridiculously friendly.
and because tip. That was a really good tip.
That was a good tip.
Plus, you know, a long ride is definite money.
Yep.
So.
And you know, he's not a New York cab driver.
Yeah. Wow. The cab drivers can actually be polite. What is this guy? There's something suspicious going on.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust him. That's why. No, neither do I. That's why I cursed him. But
Charles, no.
Let's see if you can read anything ever again. Anyway.
So, there is the same home where you spent Thanksgiving with Maxine.
Misha's gonna take a picture of that too. Picture of the house, like, because she's just trying to get it. I don't know. She's trying to understand as much about everything as she can. So she's just snapping pictures of that as well.
It's nice, but certainly not like she doesn't come from a wealthy family. They're comfortable, you know. It's 2-story, but not anything palatial or anything ridiculous. There's a deck that wraps around the back and a small porch on the front.
To Misha, it looks like what a family home should be, like the kind of thing that you would see in like a sitcom.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, I mean, not the cheesy kind of sitcoms, but maybe, you know, something, I don't know, closer to Roseanne, maybe. But that's kind of the impression she's getting, and she's sitting there kind of just looking at this like, how did I end up friends with this girl?
Charles hasn't moved from the spot. He's just sort of staring at it, and he's lost another memory of his own memory that he's made here. Driving up with that Nodge neon, carrying a gift, at least for the younger brother. What was his name?
Thurston.
Thurston. Yes, Thurston. Trucks. They like trucks. And he really liked that truck that Charles had. Well, the one Maxine had bought and made Charles give him. But now there's not really snow. Most of the snow is melted off. It's turning to spring. And he's not carrying a gift. Well, in some twisted mind, another day, it probably would have been a gift for him to give to another person so they'd suffer. Not today. Not today. And he's got that report underneath one arm while he's got this holding the suitcase, and he hasn't moved and hasn't blinked. He's just staring at this thing.
After a couple of minutes, because it looks kind of creepy when someone's just staring at a house, and like the neighbors are gonna start looking and shit. She'll kind of poke his arm because she doesn't want to look like a stalker and have someone call the cops.
Yeah, he slowly blinks and looks at her for a moment.
We better move, or they're gonna call the cops on us.
I am the cops.
Not here, you're not. Not here, you're not.
And with that, he finally takes his first of many long steps towards the front door. And once Misha's there with him, he rings the doorbell.
You hear a voice from somewhere inside the house. Just one moment. About 30 seconds later, the door swings open and there's a woman who just for a moment, looks startlingly like your friend. Because Maxine favored her mother so much.
Misha she flinches.
Charles manages a very hard swallow. It's going to be more difficult than he had thought. What was the mom's name again?
Well, she introduced herself as Dottie last time you met her.
Sorry.
And he tries to go for a smile, but it's just half there. Hello, Dottie. Do you remember me?
She gives a slight smile and, oh, you're that boy that Maxine brought Thanksgiving. What is your name? Charles, right? And she looks like over your shoulder. She looks at Misha, a little confused. Where's Maxine?
Can we just talk to you for a second, Mrs. Parker? My name's Alice.
She seems a little concerned. She opens the door and again says, "Come in." Mm-hmm. Where's Maxine?
And Charles doesn't answer before before she closes the door. I think we need to be sitting down for this.
And she sort of like puts her hand in that closed fist over your chest when you're about to receive bad news.
Oh yeah, it's pretty obvious. Man in a suit came to her door.
She just sort of like walks backwards a bit and feels for like where the couch is off to the side and has a seat.
Charles takes a seat Sets his briefcase down and has the report across his lap as he takes a deep sigh, and he looks directly in this woman's eyes. He's not going to flinch away from it. I'm afraid I'm the one who's got to tell you that Maxine's not coming home.
She gives a long, silent stare at him for a moment as a color drains from her face. She swallows the lump building in her throat.
Is your husband here?
She can't speak, but she just shakes her head no.
He's just going to stand up and go into the kitchen. Just make a guess as to where the kitchen is. If not, wander till she finds it and try to get a glass of water to bring back for her.
The first floor is kind of open floor plan, so like you'll see the kitchen. Yeah.
Charles pushes forward just a little bit because despite the fact it has to come out eventually, and his training knows that sometimes you have to just, rip. You have to let it go, put it out there. There was a terrible accident. There was a unregistered movie shoot happening nearby a wedding reception we were all at. And Maxine had gotten a call from work and was leaving the party.
I don't understand.
One of the animatronics in the shoot went haywire and it exploded. And I'm afraid Maxine got caught in the blast. Shrapnel. Right to her heart. He pulls out the port. He doesn't hand it to her. He puts it right on the table in front of her. Let her have her own time with that. As he sits back down.
She stares at the paper. Seems to be looking through it almost.
We were the ones who found her.
She's just shaking her head no. Her lips pursed. Just this can't be happening. This is some nightmare. You don't even look the same. This has to be a nightmare. I don't even know who this girl is. I'm going to wake up.
Did she ever mention her friend Misha? That's me. It's short for my last name, Mitsushima. I go by either Alice or Misha.
And you found her? Are you sure it was her?
We both found her. And I stayed with her. But there was no saving her. We were both bridesmaids in the wedding of our other friend.
I didn't even know she was going to be a bridesmaid. We argued on Thanksgiving, and we only talked maybe once or twice after.
Misha will pull her phone out, and because I'm sure that they took some pictures and selfies that look, because they look so goofy in those stupid dresses. And I'm sure they took some, probably with Alice and Shea. And she will flip the phone around so that she can show her the pictures.
She looks at the phone.
They were the worst dresses ever.
She died in a city I've never been to, surrounded by people I don't know.
But people who loved her. Not like you. At least I don't think so, but
Your daughter had an amazing impact on a lot of people's lives. And we're all the better for it. I'm just sorry she's gone. And there's a tear for a moment. Obviously, Misha can see that it's blue as sapphires. He wipes it away for a moment.
she blinks at that. She just seriously cannot believe that. And she'll just look at her and be like, before we leave, if you want to give me your number, I will send you all the pictures I have. In Misha's mind, she's thinking, except the ones I put up on Facebook.
She nods and used to take so many pictures of her. And she points to, like, she's one of those women who has scrapbooks of her children on the coffee table as conversation pieces. She is a doting mom. And there's one that says Maxine on it.
Charles
just
gets up and goes to grab it and bring it out.
she'll reach out to take it, and she just kind of wipes away tears, and she's still trying to swallow at the lump in her throat as she opens it up, and just and there's pictures of, like, it starts out with, the baby pictures. There's like the little hospital bracelet that says how much he weighed. She just stares at that. No matter how old they get, how much they insist they're grown, you never stop seeing them. The first way you saw them.
She's so small.
She was a great deal bigger than that when I first saw her. As she looks at this picture. She was wearing an I Love New York t-shirt. And she was waving around this stupid book of sights in New York.
She was very excited to leave. We didn't even know she was thinking about going. Just one day she went to go pick up her wedding dress, and the next thing I know, she's dragging cardboard boxes up the stairs and packing up her that ridiculous car.
And Misha's just watching this with the thought going through her mind of, so that's what a mom's supposed to be like.
And she finally starts to turn the pages, and there's various pictures, like Maxine at 3 years old, and just grinning a cheesy grin and holding up, like a kite that she had built at like daycare. And then there's further pictures, and as they like fairly normal like little girl pictures up until about age 7, when they start like every picture she suddenly like got streaks of mud across her face. She went through this tomboy phase. She says she just kind of starts turning through. I swear every day she came home with just new tears in her clothes.
Yeah. Misha actually smiles a little bit at that. She feels pretty certain that is when she had her chrysalis, because she was spending all her time as a bunny. So she smiles at that a little.
And she'll flip through, and there's a picture of like she's progressively older in the pictures, and finally there's this picture of her in this ridiculous dress, and she looks so angry in the picture as she's standing next to this young man who's like brawny and like flat top haircut, just popped collar. and she just looks like that look at Maxine probably only had around very select individuals. But and the dress looks like again like cupcakes. It was white and frilly with pink flowers and just nonsense. There's a bow in her hair. She does not look amused. And the next several pictures are of her with this brick wall of a man. He's about her age. Charles would not recognize him. This is not like the father or anything like that.
Oh God, what was the name that was given for her ex-fiance before? She actually told Misha.
Eric.
She'll just be like, was that Eric?
Yeah, his mom's a good friend of mine, and we always used to joke that one day we were going to get the kids together. It seemed like things were going well between the two of them. And she turns the page, and there's a picture of Maxine wearing a ring, and like Dottie's like next to her in the picture, and just so like smiling so broad as she like holds her daughter's hand up for whoever's snapping the picture. But again, Maxine doesn't seem happy in the picture. And there's like pictures of her like trying on dresses and stuff. Like,
do any of them look familiar? Because I've totally seen one of them before.
Yeah, there's the dress she finally settled on.
She kind of covers her mouth specifically when she sees that, because she knows exactly where that dress is now in Hall's wardrobe.
She looks at this picture and she goes, and this is right before she left, really. She just sort of like looks at that picture for a long, long time. And just
I can't explain everything about her, But I can tell you that I think she found something in New York. If that helps you feel any better.
I told her to come back. I told her it was going to be dangerous.
Nobody can predict an animatronic dragon mishap.
And she just kind of gives like a look. And just like, that sort of thing doesn't happen here. She would have been safe here.
Maybe.
And she looks at Charles. Do you know when the funeral is?
Part of the reason I'm coming is reaching out. They wanted to know if you prefer her to be buried here in Biwabik. One way or another, it's going to be a cop's funeral. You're going to see a lot of people that you're not going to know, but knew her very well. And they all have stories.
What am I going to tell her siblings? Oh, what am I going to tell her father?
That
Do you want us here when he comes back?
I know he doesn't know me, but maybe it would comfort him to know that people who cared about her were made sure she was taken very good care of.
I should tell her friends here.
You know what? It can probably wait until you have her dad back.
As for the children, I'm going to tell you exactly what a school psychology teacher once told me. When it came to giving advice to parents who either had lost a child and had to tell their siblings or lost a parent, tell them in the sun. Don't take them out of school for a day, go have ice cream wherever it is, and make a day. And then you sit with them and you tell them in the sun. And just be there for them. Because that's all you can do.
I don't know much about kids. I just think being kids know things. They know, but even if you don't tell them, they're still gonna know that something's wrong. So it's probably better to do it sooner rather than later. But I think you can probably tell her dad first, so that the two of you can do it together. It's my thought.
She gives a nod and walks over to the kitchen. They still have a landline because she's a homemaker. You know, why does she need a cell phone when most of the time she's home anyways? It just seems like it's a lot of confusion for people. She picks up her phone and she dials a number. She It rings for a moment. She's like, "Please, pick up, just pick up, pick up. Rusty, you need to come home." Charles would know Russ is her
Yeah.
father. Just come home. We'll talk about it when you get here. I love you too. And she hangs up the phone and just sort of brings her fist up to her mouth for a moment.
If there's a box of tissues, push them towards her. And the glass of water, it should be sitting near at some point near where she was at before. That's really all Misha knows how to do. She feels a little awkward with the idea of hugging a woman she doesn't know. Although the fact that she looks like Maxine is really uncomfortable.
Yep, this is what Maxine would have looked like if she had made it to be the old lady sitting on a porch with you. She grabs a tissue, but she doesn't sit back down. And she looks at the both of you and says, "I'm sorry I've been rude. Let me get you something to drink. Is iced tea okay?"
Iced tea's fine.
The roll I just made was a willpower roll to see if that particular thought, because that's actually a conversation they had.
Uh-huh.
So to see if she could keep control. She got 1 success. So I'm going to say that her eyes are red. And she looks like she is just barely holding on. 1 bare success. Seriously, it's a 6.
Yeah.
And she's just going to sort of mutely nod because she feels if she says anything, she's just going to lose it.
Dottie starts making herself busy in the there was an iced tea made, so she's making it and warming the water so she can stick the tea bags in there and filling a pitcher with water just to keep herself busy for a moment to focus on something else.
Yep, Misha looks away from Charles because she doesn't necessarily want him seeing her like this for all that he probably has already seen. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Charles lets Dottie do what she needs to. It's one of those things they need to do in order to keep control. And he sits down and looking at the report right next to the photo album. And he turns it back a few pages to the first time she started being muddy. And he looks right at this little girl. He closes his eyes, and there's another memory. One full of fear. One where this feeling of branches and tears ripping at her. As rocks are being thrown at her, and there's the cries of children as they manage to land a hit on her around the head. No, him. They hit his head, her head, his, theirs. And they're running, they're scared, and they run through that bramble, and the thorns cut at them. There's so much fear. And suddenly they're off like a rocket. The world is full of colors they don't even he has names for, but she in this moment doesn't. And she's small and she's fast. And she's scared and alone and she doesn't know. She has to run, 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 run. And he opens his eyes. He doesn't remember really the rest, but he knows it was hours before she figured out how to change back. And he's looking right at this smutty little kid with their torn pieces. What a beautiful thing you told me it was. Never, Maxine. I'm sorry. But that's never going to be me. And he almost touches the photo for a moment, but pulls his hand away. And he stares at this young girl for just a long moment. Almost like trying to memorize her. And then he just puts his hand in like a fist on like one hand over the other, and he just puts his forehead onto it and closes his eyes and just breathes. And those thorns are just springing up around him as they begin to snake all around the couch. Unseen by all but him and Misha.
I'm sorry, what was that last bit?
Unseen by all except for him and Misha.
Dottie eventually emerges from the kitchen with a tray with glasses of iced tea. There's also a plate with absurdly red pickles on them.
Oh no.
Because that's who would send them to her.
Charles looks at this. You know, she kept saying we should try one.
I made them because she had them at a fair one time. She said she loved them, and I always thought they were the worst thing ever. She says, and she like laughs, cries, and just starts bawling over this tray of ridiculous red pickles.
Misha's doing the same kind of thing because she knows that she was literally lying. Because it was fucking Puka.
Just like her.
She ate the weirdest things sometimes.
I'm not really sure I can talk myself into actually trying one. No offense.
She just sort of shakes her head and she's wiping away her tears. And I wouldn't recommend them. And she's
sorry, I'm not sure how much of this laughing is out of character or in character at this point.
I think it's a little bit of both.
These stupid pickles.
Those stupid coolicles. She kept every jar you sent her.
Except the one she managed to force down some of our friends' throats. Are you the one who also sent the lutefisk?
oh yes.
One of my friends really, really enjoyed that.
Well, I may have some left down in the cellar if you want to take some with you.
I mean, I don't want to take your things. It's up to you. If it's something you enjoy.
It's I think I pull out for like special dinners once in a while. It's a tradition out here. People expect to see it. It's like cranberry sauce.
I mean, I really like fish, and I don't know. It was okay. I guess it maybe wasn't my favorite kind of fish.
The car pulls up in the driveway a little faster than it probably should. Door slams and rapid footsteps make it up the driveway, up the stairs, up the porch, and opens the door. There stands Russell Parker, a broad-shouldered man with calloused hands and a wind-chapped face, crammed into a uncomfortable suit since he works now at a used car lot. He immediately looks at his wife who's crying, and then over at the one person he's met once before, and another, a stranger, and back at his wife, and she looks up at him, and she can't even say the words.
Can I roll kenning on him?
It's going to be very difficult, but yes.
I'm fine with that. I just want the chance.
Yeah, difficulty 8.
Okay. I make sure. I think I brought kenning up, but I want to make sure I did. I did. Fantastic. Got 2.
Even with that, it's just a flicker of something. You can't quite put your finger on it because the man is so faded. A hint of blue. Maybe there's a reason behind his general size, the reason he looks uncomfortable in that suit. But
because she already knows what he's supposed to be. She's just trying to see if she can see it for herself, you know? So it's really just, she's got to kind of do that. And it kind of, she's like looking really closely. And then she'll look to Charles and just sort of give him a tiny nod.
Charles isn't going to roll on that right now, but I mean, if that small acknowledgement is enough to like basically say, yeah, it is, just to take that as. Hello, Rusty.
Charles. And he looks at Misha. I'm sorry. Who are you?
If you've ever heard Maxine speak about her friend Misha, that's me. Alice Mizushima.
She may have mentioned you once. And he looks at his wife who's crying, and he goes and he just like holds her close, and he's like, what happened? And he's just like whispering to her, and she can't say anything. Now that she's with her husband, she just completely dissolves into tears.
Rusty. Maxine's not coming home. There was a freak accident. There was a unscheduled movie shoot going on nearby, a wedding that we were all attending. And she got a call from work, and she started to leave, and then the animatronic just malfunctioned, and it exploded. And he picks up the report. he doesn't quite hand it to him, but he's like holding it, and it's like, she got caught in the blast. Shrapnel went right to her heart. When we found her, she was already gone. There wasn't anything we could have done.
He doesn't let go of his wife, but he reaches for the report and he looks at it. And his jaw clenches and unclenches, and like he's blinking so tears don't appear. He's an old-fashioned man who's trying to fight back. And be strong for his wife, who is just a mess. Did she suffer?
Right to the heart.
It was quick. At least it had to be.
He nods. And just shakes his head and like holds his wife's head to his chest and just kind of like pets her hair. And he's like, shh, Daddy, it'll be okay. Did she have arrangements or anything? She's such a poor planner, that one.
That's partially why I'm here, actually. They don't know whether you want her buried here, home, or in the police. The one in New York. I want to make sure that the parents got a say.
She have friends there, boy? He says, looking at a 38-year-old man.
Misha's going to answer for him regardless of that.
Yeah.
And she's going to just look up and say, the best of friends.
He nods. Well then, that's more than she had here. And Dottie, like, starts to speak. I mean, shh. and like he gives a look, sort of hard to read look.
You want me to roll perception psychology on that?
Yeah.
Can I just roll perception empathy?
Yeah, go ahead.
The normal route here, it's fine. With my brand new fancy 2 in empathy.
My God, your empathy is going higher and higher.
She was at 1 for about 6 months or 7 months, 8 months, whatever.
How long this venue's been going?
Yes, until recently. Of course, it was still a fail, but I tried.
3 successes.
Okay. Charles, he's giving you a look that says, like he talked to his daughter. He was much closer to his daughter than Dottie was. He's sort of trying to suggest there aren't a lot of friends here that Maxine had.
Well, Misha got that. Without the role.
Do you know when the funeral's going to be? Do we need to arrange it?
Brooklyn PD's got something set up if it's going to be here, or if it's going to be there. And I don't know the date when the funeral is going to be, but I'll just say he tells them what where they believe it's going to be.
He nods, and I think it'd be easier to take the four of us to New York than it would be to bring her friends up here. I believe when a person passes, they should be surrounded by those who remember them well.
If there's anything you wanted for it, I think Charles would be fine with trying to arrange it. As she awkwardly offers Charles, but at the same time, she knows that she's not part of Brooklyn PD.
Yeah. Charles nods. I'll do my very best to make whatever arrangements need to happen.
He nods.
I just mean, I'm terrible at this. I just didn't know if there's anything you guys would want for that. Any particular flowers or anything.
He was a fan of daisies.
Okay.
And yeah.
She's gonna look at him and just be like, I have the most recent pictures, and I'm going to send them to your wife. But if you give me your number, I will send them to you as well.
And he nods, and he's a little preoccupied with his wife at the moment to exchange numbers.
No, not this exact minute. Yeah, it's fine. She didn't mean like do it now.
Yeah, he looks like up the stairs, and he's like, I think, Daddy, we should probably pack up that room.
We've got to get back to Brooklyn. Or back to New York.
I understand. And he helps his wife stand up and just sort of like gives her like a moment and like looks her in the eye, and she just takes a deep breath and holds on to his hands. They have like this moment, this exchange that somebody who's been married for over 3 decades would have, you know. They don't have to say everything to understand stuff. And
I think at least I intended to help pack up her things there, and we can send them back to you to decide what you want to do.
And Russell shakes his head. And it just collect dust, donate it to charity. She's not her stuff, you know.
She never was. Goodbye, Rusty.
Charles. And Misha, is that what you said your name was, dear?
Yeah, that works.
And he gives her like a strange look for a moment. And I hope she was a good friend to you. And he'll like lead his wife to like the front door to follow you out. And
Dottie.
she looks at Charles. but doesn't say anything.
He gives a solid look. Tell them in the sun.
She nods.
Goodbye.
And she whispers a horse goodbye. And
Goodbye.
Noah's like,
Sorry.
goodbye. It's sort of choked up, you know, the choked up voice of the morning, and the door closes.
They go back out.
Yeah, Misha doesn't say anything. She just stands there.
Charles is there, silent for a long moment. I've destroyed their worlds.
No, it wasn't you. I mean,
No.
I have no doubt that you could destroy their worlds, but it
No.
wasn't you who did this.
No. But I was the one that told them.
That just makes you
It's
the
bad.
bearer of bad news.
That's often enough to break things.
Yeah, well, in this case, I think the blame solidly lands with that bitch who did it.
When we get back, if we rest on it, we're going to find them. And not just her or that red cap, but every single one of them.
I believe even William agrees with you on that.
And Charles pulls out his phone and he starts putting in the longitude, latitude numbers. You know, Google Maps can do that.
Yes.
Hits.
Also, this is where I have to say, that Misha just kept a secret. But it's okay. Anyway, I'll tell you later.
He's looking at it and he sees where they need to go.
It seems to be leading to a forest, not too far away.
Let's take a walk. And he starts following the phone directions.
And it'll lead into the forest near the Embarrass River. And-
Seriously, is that what it's called?
Yes. And there's a sort of clearing isn't the right word, but like a little area where the trees aren't as dense, where brambles have sort of started growing and using the trees as like a post to wrap themselves around. There's an area where it's obviously been overgrown for years.
Charles, out of character, is this where it happened?
It is.
Charles is there and he's remembering that memory again.
Misha does not have the emotional connection to this place.
And he gets over to, yes, this is the one. He sits down there and he looks at it.
What?
This is where it happened. And she became what she remembered, alas.
Alas, will not be forgotten. She's still in graffiti all over New York.
Are you looking at the thorns?
Mm-hmm.
You can see a sort of like glint of metal, like a box deep in the thorns.
And ironic with the man whose the thorns are just crawling around as he reaches in, and they cut into him, but he doesn't care. So he reaches in and he gets it and he pulls it out. As bits of his golden blood are just dripping, oozing across his marbled skin. He pulls that box out.
Misha, by this time, has sat down across from him as much as she can, or, maybe sort of catty cornered, who knows, whatever makes sense in this scenario.
And in the box, there's it's a necklace, it's silver with a ruby. It's not a expensive ruby. It's very small, but the necklace pendant itself is a hair inside a crescent moon. And there's a piece of paper wrapped around a small book inside.
Charles looks at the necklace for a long moment before he passes it to Misha.
Yeah, she's going to look at that real hard. See if she can catch anything about it, based on Craft's jewelry.
It's not chimerical, but it was crafted. It's not a machine-made piece.
So an artisan made this.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any maker marks on it?
On the back, there's like a small like stamp of initials of the artisan who made it. Out of character, I don't have the artisan on hand, so
that's okay. We can sort through that later because I guarantee she's going to try to track it down. But yeah, that's fine.
At that, she's examining it. Charles gets the book.
Oh, there's a letter wrapped around it.
Oh, well, let's read the letter first.
Okay. It says, "Dear person reading this letter, I'm heading out to seek adventure today, but wanted to leave a little piece of myself here in Biwabik. Places like this need a little mischief and magic in them, and since I'm leaving, this will have to do. If you're reading this, you probably have something in common with me, or you're just the kind of weirdo to hunt down a random set of GPS coordinates you found carved into a moose. Either way, you're my kind of person. I hope if you know me, you think well of me. I hope I've made a good impact on you and the world you live in. I hope I've done good. This is my old journal. A little piece of my story. I hope someday I can come back to this place and add another little story in this box. Little pieces of me found beneath the briar patch where I first changed. Life is full of changes. Some are happy, some are sad, and some are a beautiful mixture of both that don't make any sense until you've had time to forget about them and look back. Seriously, look back. I'm right behind you. Ha, made you look. Maxine Parker."
Do you read it out loud?
Yeah. He folds the letter up. Puts it back safely in the box. And he's looking at the journal.
The journal, it's shows signs of age. Inside, all the writing is in chimerical ink. I'm sharing the link if you want to ever look back on this thing to know what it says, but it starts out with very, very childish handwriting. And there aren't a lot of entries in it, but it is Maxine's diary from her after her chrysalis and right before she left.
I think they're going to spend like the next hour or so reading it. Forgive us if we don't read it right now.
No, that's fine. That's why I gave you the link.
Yeah. I'll put that in our group chat just so that in Facebook, so we come back to it again.
Mm-hmm.
But
now Misha wants this pen.
so I think both her and both Misha and Charles spend like the next hour or so taking turns reading passages out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, there are probably tears at this point. But because he broke first, it's not as bad.
He broke first, damn it. Yes. Victory. Sorry. But after a long moment, as they're sitting there with having read it, having a chance to know Maxine more deeper than before, I think we're going to have to put it back. Because everyone else deserves to have a chance to meet her.
Misha she can't take a picture of everything in the journal. But she will take the time. She's going to take the time to take a picture of the letter. And definitely a picture of both sides of the jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd want us to have it. But her dad knows that she didn't belong here.
Well, we'll never know now for sure. And he puts the journal back into the box, closes it. Hard to tell what she would have wanted for other people to find her. For more generations to be able to meet her. Or for us to take it. I'll make sure they meet her.
What does that mean? Does that mean you agree with me or you disagree?
sort of smiles sadly, and he looks at it, at the box. Oh no. But all I know is that regardless, this isn't something just for us.
No. I have no problem sharing this with other people who cared about her. If that's what you mean.
And he nods. They'll receive it better if you show it to them.
Did you just admit that I'm more likable than you?
I'm just saying they'll swallow it better if you give it to them.
Yeah, you just said that I'm more likable than you.
If that's what helps you sleep at night, Misha.
No, it's just the truth. Truth doesn't help me sleep at night, though.
No. The truth, as harsh and biting as it is, as much as no one wants to hear it, is sometimes what people need.
No. It's fine. Put this all back together. This is the work of an artisan. It's not some machine-made jewelry. But for all I know, it could just be something that she ordered off the internet.
Actually, if you guys have read the journal, you would
Oh.
you would know it's not. Sorry.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay.
I'll give you the summary of what the pertinent parts. From this, you'll learn the name of her mentor. It was a dog puka named Percy. She saw him gradually fade away. She did not understand that at all. It will make references to the friends she had in Biwabik, and they were not good ones. It also talks about the day before she left. She went to go pick up her wedding dress. The woman working as a seamstress or whatever that day was a boggin, one that had known her mentor, and well, she had been out of town. They had something to give her. That day was the day Maxine got her goggles, her gun, and that necklace. She did not feel comfortable wearing the necklace because it was too close to her true name, which is also referenced. But
I saw that one.
Yes. It doesn't actually say the true name. It says it's translation. It is in another language, but it means one hair of the generous moon. But yes, that is so. She didn't feel right, especially since Biwabik kind of had a negative impact on her, and so she felt kind of damp in the soul, which is why she left. And that was a gift. Those 3 items were all gifts from her mentor, given to this woman to hold on to.
And it's when we find that part that Misha looks down at the gun that is chimerical and therefore has made this whole trip with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she will pull it out and hold it out in front of her and just look at Charles. And she'll kind of gesture towards his goggles, which he probably has with him.
Yep.
These belonged to another puka. I'm not sure we could trust them. Probably the first time I shoot it, a little red flag will come out of the end.
Even if I find that I'm going to have black eyes after I put these on. Maxine wanted us to have these things. I'll trust her at least in that.
We're taking this back then, and we will let whoever wants to gain whatever solace they can from it.
We'll have our own private remembrance of her. We'll make sure these things are there for anyone who wishes to see it.
And then what?
We'll talk about that when we get there.
Fine. As long as there is an agreement that whatever happens is something that we agree upon, not one of us running away with the stuff.
And just nods. I gotta go. Those flights don't always come back around.
Just a second. And she's going to go. She's going to set the jewelry back in the box as well.
Mhm.
And she's going to go. Wasn't there a tree like right by there? I mean, there's a bunch of trees, but
Yeah, there's a tree that the brambles are kind of growing around.
okay. She's going to sort of wiggle her way in there,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter if she rips clothes or whatever. She doesn't care at this point.
Okay.
And she's going to get her chimerical knife out. And she's going to carve into the tree AO, and then under that, just M. And she's going to look to Charles and say, "Do you want your initials here too?"
And he stares at it for a long moment. Just put K.
She will put K specifically under her because it's kind of amusing that to put the she below me.
Mm-hmm.
But she will do that. And then she'll draw. Well, no, she'll just leave it like that. Just simple initials. Chimerical. So it's chimerical stuff since she's doing it with her chimerical knife. Because she doesn't want it to be something that anybody can see. And then she'll kind of work her way out of this bramble patch with probably a few bleeding spots and her clothes a bit ripped. Now, whatever bit of her is here isn't alone.
He gazes out of this place.
Let's go.
And then he has that memory. That memory again of running. Yes. It's time to go. And I think with them leaving, getting their taxi and the plane flight, I don't think there's much left to say to each other. They're
Okay, then that's where we'll end the scene. Is that all right?
Yep.
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching, and we'll see you next time.